Welcome back to the show, everybody. The one and only triple the G.O.D. live with you on Team JRF TV. And yo, we got some more news on that Sega Genesis Mini. We've got games number 21 to 30. But before we get started and get into the mix, let Uncle Triple let you know what this video is going to be. Nothing but the bottom of the nightline, baby, because all I do is shoot shots and hit. It's going to be full of these because, yo, Uncle Triple told the streets, been telling the streets, and y'all didn't believe. But now I got the proof is in the pudding, baby, because, you know, Noodle Gang, what's good? On top of that, do not be surprised as my tone changed, because before I got started, I was able to take a look at what the Sega Mega Drive Mini in Japan is looking like. I'm super Drake. I'm mega upset, super salty at some of these games that the Japanese fam is getting. Uncle Triple is not a happy man. Now I'm not saying that, you know, that I'm not going to pick one up or the thing won't ultimately be hacked for me to add these things, but man, the Japanese fam sitting up here getting the love. The LUV love. I'm like, It's two games. It's two games in particular. I'm kind of like, one of those games you probably wasn't gonna hit, but another one I thought that'd have been like your first 10 you'd announce for the rest of the world, but still though. And then on top of that, more of nothing but the bottom of the nylon, cause all I do is this right here. Shoot the shot, hit it all day. Uncle Triple told you live. Go watch the archives. Go watch them, cause I told you. We gonna get into that. We gonna get into that. Don't worry about that at all. Ooh, man, it's a little hot in there. Turn on the fan up and let me get the fan. I'm gonna get the fan popping. Get the fan popping. Where my water? Get the water popping, dog. Cause yo, we got some work to do. Give me a second. We good. Hold up. I'm gonna sit this to my right, just to let you know what a headphone and a kick though. You feel me? So, just so you know, just let's review. Uncle Triple does this and it goes in all day long. Understanding and know that I'm a little salty because of what's going on in Japan land. I'm a little salty. We're going to go through it and I'm going to explain my saltiness. I will try to keep history time to a minimum, but yeah, it is what it is. But enough of the talking, enough of these, because I'm going to be shooting these all video. Trust me. That wrist game is real, damn it. Wrist game real. Swear to God on my mouth. This NBA, you feel me? Regardless of that, let's get to work. Let's get yo girl and mine in the building so we can do what we do. Super duper motherfucking magic box. Where you at, baby? Booyah! Just like that. I'm gonna do that. We good. Got the media keyboard on deck. Got the fan on deck. Got the water on deck. Yo, we is good. So with all of that being said, I'm finna make a small adjustment. Make the small adjustment. So we good now. Make the small adjustment. So with all of that being said, now activating the Sega Mega Drive Mini number 21 through 30. .exe
メガドライブミニ本体収録タイトル紹介第3弾大魔界村
Yeah, here's a fun fact. This game was reprogrammed by Sega by some dude who made Sonic. This? Oh, didn't I tell y'all this was coming? I told you. I called this one too. Like, yo, free throws, baby. Yeah, you know, at some point you was gonna get the Sega Genesis version of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. And here's where the salt comes in. We get Shinobi 3, they get this. One of the best RPGs in the business. It's like Phantasy Star 4 is appreciated when you play the rest of it. Yeah, the story of Thor, man. This is a throwback classic. We getting this one on ours too. Tantor. I'm like, I called this one like a hell of ago, like when they first announced this thing.
メガ Q
Party Quiz Mega Q. You know what I'm saying? We ain't missing much with this. This is something we're not getting in America.
悠々白書魔境統一戦
Oh my God, man, you do not know how important that game is to your history, and we are going to go through not only what one of my favorite animes of all time is getting that work, but how important that game is to the future of a little company that we'll talk about in a minute. Sega. So, that'll be that. So, we'll go ahead and I'm going to come back over here, put the work in, we're going to make that disappear. I'm going to close this here. I'm gonna close this here, and I'm gonna do this because yo, it's time to do what it does. Google motherfucking Chrome, where you at? Here, Google motherfucking Chrome, bitches. What's up? So, now that you know what's upcoming for the Japanese version of the Sega Mega Drive Mini, we'll just go through it just one more time, just for the hood. Rockman Mega World, aka Mega Man the Wily Wars. It would not surprise me that ultimately that I'm trying to figure out, because we are getting this too, but the thing I want to know is that did M2 fix the issue about game save? Because that was a thing for years. Like, I remember like when this game officially first got dumped like years ago. Like, I remember like when the ROM first hit the internet. Like, because for years this thing was just locked in where the hell it was. And then somebody was able to find the files for you to be able to play it, things like that. But then there were problems getting the game to fully save and work. And the only way that you could access the real meat of the game, the only reason you want to play at the Wily Tower, was to do game genie stuff. But it's good to see this game here, and like I said, we are also getting this on ARPS too. I need to put focus on this thing. Let me see. Scroll up a little bit more. Okay. Yu Yu Hakusho Mato Totsusen. Okay. You may be sitting up here and wondering, like, why am I so salty about this video game? Well, let's take it this way. Number one, if you were to ask me what my favorite anime is, I will tell you no bullshit, Yu Yu Hakusho. This is technically counted, so just no one says this, where Cowboy Bebop is in a place where it cannot be touched ever, and it cannot be considered the greatest of all time because of how important that anime is to why I appreciate anime now. So it sits over here in the corner, and Yu Yu Hakusho gets to be the greatest anime of all time. Even though, you know, manga things or whatever, but it is what it is with that. I love Makoto Totsusen. There is a fan translation that's been out for over a decade now. So if you want to enjoy this game for real, you can. I would not, however, suggest you go play the game in Spanish because it exists. Because Brazilian, because technically that's Portuguese and not Spanish, so no one correct me. But yeah, I'm salty. Salty that Japan gets this and we don't. Because here's your other fun fact for the game. Have you ever heard of a game called, I don't know, Guardian Heroes? This is the precursor to Guardian Heroes. Is that these games are completely unrelated to like the Super Nintendo games, which they made like I think 7 of, and those are alright. Nothing like this. This game is something special. So it's good to see that. And if you really want to continue like what Guardian Heroes does, you got Advanced Guardian Heroes, and you also got the Bleach Fighters, which are spiritual successors to that game anyway. Phantasy Star 4, the end of the millennium. Well. If there's an RPG you should play, it is Phantasy Star 4. However, just don't let Uncle Triple school you. It's very important that if you truly want to understand what Phantasy Star 4 does, playing the 3 games that come before it really gives you a lot more appreciation and understanding of why this game was what it was. You want to know why there hasn't been a for real sequel to this game? It's because this game does one thing. It brings an end to everything that came before it, tells its own story, and able to wrap it up in a way that the game should never ever be come back to and touched in any way. As much as you want a sequel to Phantasy Star, it should never happen. It's just one of those things that should never be. So go play Phantasy Star Online 2. It's really hard to do that. Something capture monster. Anywho, Quiz Party Mega Q. really nothing to really say about that. It is what it says on it is. It's a quiz game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've seen one, you've seen them all. It has a little different ebb and flow to it than other quiz games that you may be familiar with, especially games like Quiz and Dragons and things like that. But you get mostly what it is. And also, I think I am legally obliged to mention that the King of Quiz is a video game. And that's the King of Fighters with like a whole bunch of different characters, and it's a quiz game on the Neo Geo. I'm supposed to like legally mention that. So, SNK, give me my money. Moving right along. Puzzle and Action Times R. I told y'all this was coming first video. I just had a feeling that this was going to be a game that was going to be on her, at least for the Japanese version, because of thinking that Bonanza Brothers was probably going to be on the English and European versions of this thing. But it's good to see Tanar. If you really want to play these games, you have the option to either play the Saturn version or play the PS2 version, which has the first 2 games on it. So, you know what I'm saying? So you have plenty of ways to experience this. That's not that. So it is what it is. In the continuation of Capcom dropping its heat on this thing, Dai Makaimura. You may know this better as Ghouls and Ghosts. Yeah. If you didn't know, and I said this while we were watching the video, this game was reprogrammed by some guy you know named Nuji Naka, who's responsible for some game called Sonic the Hedgehog. So knowing that Sega actually went in and actually did all the work to bring this to you is really important, at least for the Japanese side of things, that it exists on this side of things. So I really appreciate that it's here, because you get to play a great version of the second game in the series. So some people really regard this as one of the best versions of this game to play, and I can't disagree with that in any way. So if you ready for this heat, it's gonna be available for you. So it is what it is. Oh, Street Fighter 2 Dash Plus Champion Edition. Oh, you know that game that I said that was going to come to this thing because of how important it is to the system wars. I could not have enough time to explain to you the craziness about this game in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, or not Super Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the SNES, about the technicalities of getting around who sells what. This game is literally important because without it, you wouldn't have a 6-button controller. We are going to talk about 6-button controllers and this Sega Mega Drive Mini or this Sega Genesis Mini in a minute. So trust me, I got you. I'm not sitting up here saying that this is the best way to experience this game, but given what it has in comparison to Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the SNES, this one is a little more feature filled because it came out second. Because of what it is, because okay, let me run that back because maybe I should explain myself. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition is technically Turbo and Champion Edition in the same box, just as Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the SNES is Turbo and Champion Edition in the same box, except technically the Sega Genesis version is selling you Champion Edition, and the SNES version is selling you Turbo, but they're technically the same thing, but not the same thing, which is really enough. You know what? I heard myself say that, so let me try to say it clearly. Technically, the Sega Genesis version and the Super Nintendo versions are the same thing, except one is sitting up here putting up front that is Champion Edition, and the other one is putting out that is Turbo, even though they both offer Champion Edition and Turbo things in it. If that makes sense. So yeah, in other words, this game is very, very important to the console wars then thereof because of the deals that can be made in an office full of, people with suits. So it is what it is with that. The Story of Thor. A throwback classic RPG. We are getting this, albeit in a different way, but the same thing, and we'll explain that when I get to the Sega Genesis Mini, so don't worry about that, I got you. Okay. How many times have I got on a video on this channel and said the following? Shinobi 3 is the better game. I love the Super Shinobi more. Nothing else needs to be said. This game is one of the tightest feeling games I have ever played in my life. This game is amazing and wonderful, and all of it is topped off by the God Yuzo Koshiro blessing that music. Ooh wee, man! I'm telling you. Given what this is, it would not surprise me if the version of the Super Shinobi on this game is not the last version that they released on the Virtual Console, which had Pink Spider-Man on it. So don't worry about that too much. Oh, and Golden Axe, because, you know, that's the reason. Here's a fun fact for you today, just so you know. In the early days of the 360, this version of Golden Axe was on the 360. When the Golden Axe collection came out, when M2's version of the Golden Axe collection came out, this got delisted. Even though if you own it, you can still play it through backwards compatibility, and it's the only game that's backwards compatible you cannot buy. So, you know, giving you that information that you can play a video game that you technically can't buy anymore, which is weird, but it is what it is with that. Oh, we were gonna talk about Yu Yu Hakusho, but I've done enough about that. It's stuff on the Sega Retro page about move lists and stuff. But here's a secret: me and Jay was gonna play the game at some point anyway, but trying to get time to sit down to play this and trying to fit this into things when I would just love nothing more than to play Yu Yu Hakusho 120% or play Yu Yu Hakusho forever, because, you know, things like that. I want to play Dark Tournament because I heard that game was garbage and never played it and want to play it for myself. So we'll get into that anyway. So we'll close that out. Don't worry about that. The Sega Genesis and the Sega Mega Drive Mini. Mostly the same games except for, I don't know. You might be looking at like Beyond Oasis. That's the story of Thor. Don't get confused. That's why I wanted to wait till we got to this point. That, yeah, the story of Thor and Beyond Oasis are the same video game, just renamed in America for reasons, probably for stuff. We get Sonic Spinball for some reason and Vector Man. Well, let's see. Okay. We get Sonic Spinball, we get Vector Man, and we get Wonder Boy and Monster World. I'm sitting up here like, who asked for Sonic Spinball? Probably nobody. Who asked for Vector Man? I'm probably guessing somebody. And there are better ways to play Wonder Boy and Monster World. I'm just putting that out there. I'm looking at this, like, for real, no bullshit. Like, Japan gets Yu Yu Hakusho and The Revenge of Shinobi, and we get Sonic Spinball, Vector Man, and Wonder Boy, and I'm just like, I'm utterly confused, very salty, and a little upset. I should not be upset at a mini system being what it is, but I'm like, when I was a kid, I appreciated Vector Man for what it was, but I'm not sitting up here screaming for its inclusion in anything. Vector Man 2 wasn't even better than 1, but that's subjective depending on how you squint your eyes and look at it. Vector Man and Vector Man 2 are great games, but you know what? I take back what I said. I take that back. Now that I think about it, given the focus of this machine and where you're releasing it, yeah, Vector Man does make sense. I'm like, I can kind of get behind a little bit why, given that how many versions of Monster Boy and Wonder Boy World and all this stuff that's out there, do you know how many versions of Wonder World and Monster Boy and all this out there? It's like 4. And there are more coming. So I would kind of think, you would, do whatever with that. Alex Kidd is in here too, and it's like, well, yeah. Like, before there was a Sonic, there was an Alex Kidd. It's a shame that he couldn't get the proper push and get over with America like Sega wanted, but we got Sonic, and depending on how you ask, we kind of got out better for that. I'm like, there is probably a universe somewhere where where Sonic never existed and Alex Kidd was over. But we don't live in this world. So, again, Alex Kidd, Sonic Spinball, Vector Man, and Wonder Boy in Monster World. Yeah. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm sitting up here looking at this like, again, like let's just go back to this really quickly. Golden Axe, the Super Shinobi, the Story of Thor, Street Fighter 2 Plus Champion Edition, Damakai Mura, Taunt R, Quiz World Mega Cube, Fantasy Star 4, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Mega Man The Wily Wars, right? And in that, we get Alex Kidd, Sonic Spinball, Vector Man, and Wonder Boy. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, given that the only game they would try to release would be the Super Shinobi, aka the Revenge of Shinobi, I'm like, I think in most instances you could either drop Vector Man and Wonder Boy and no one would care. I'm being legit honest, swear. Like you could drop either Vector Man or Wonder Boy and no one would bat a damn eye. I'm being serious because it's like I'm gonna say this, just real talk. It is one thing that I'm glad for. That I'm glad that I get the opportunity to stare these things in the face and just be live on the mic and just be the fuck. Because I'm looking at this and it's like Alex Kidd, Sonic Spinball, Vector Man, and Wonder Boy, and it's like, word? Like, seriously? No one? Oh, and I love the mock box off of Mega Man The Wily Wars. That's kind of dumb. But, I don't know. I'm like, I would have thought Alex Kidd would have been a part of the Sega Mega Drive Mini in Japan a lot earlier than this, but we get it as a throwaway because we need to fill in blanks. And Vector Man, I'm like, I don't know. Just for the record, because I'm finna say something, but I just want to just let y'all look. Okay, you got the Story of Thor, and you got all this. You got all this stuff right here. That box art is dope, I gotta say. Look. Given we got 10 games to go, there's only one game left that I need on either or of these to make this complete, and that game is being Alien Soldier. I got a feeling, and I'm shooting at Jay live. Alien Soldier is going to be on the Sega Mega Drive Mini in Japan. Anybody on the internet take me on a bet. That's a free throw. If the Sega Mega Drive Mini in Japan got Yu Yu Hakusho and it got Gunstar Heroes, why would it not have Alien Soldier? Why not? I really think Alien Soldier would be a get for all three of these, but it's going to be in the Japanese version. I can already tell you that. Any other game that may hit, I don't know. I'm like a while back where, when people was in the comments on the previous video talking about stuff and things we about to get into, one of the games I said that may hit the Genesis Mini may be Mortal Kombat 1. Just because of how important, just like we talked about Special Champion Edition, is that Mortal Kombat 1, the blood code changed the ebb and flow of the console wars. Because the Nintendo thought they were so gangster that they could get away with sweating Mortal Kombat. And then when Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis sold 3-1, because even though the Super Nintendo looked way better, it didn't have the one thing that mattered. Mortal Kombat 2 quickly had blood. I really think that that's important. My thing is that I got questions about possible Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles possibly being in this thing. I'm not sure, because hopefully they can work out whatever's good with that. It's like, when you think about what's left, and I'm just actually, you know what? Oh boy, I ain't mean to do that. I'm looking. I'm using the wrong thing. Like, let's just scroll through this real quick, because before we gonna take a look for this one more thing, and I'm gonna let y'all free. Is like, look at the list so far. Like, we got Last Stalker, Contra Hardcore, you got Streets of Rage 2, the first Earthworm Jim, which by the way they're re-releasing 1 and 2 on one cartridge or something. I heard about that a couple of days ago. Both the Illusion games. I'm like, I still think Quackshot's a hitter. I'm not as confident in the free throw, but I still think looking at it, Quackshot's a hitter. Like, we get Sonic 1, the Japanese version gets Sonic 2. I think the Japanese version only got Sonic 2. We get both Sonic games. So getting Sonic and Knuckles, that's very possible. Let me pull up the Sega Genesis. Let me pull up the Sega Mega Drive Mini one more time, just to scroll through to see what else is in here. You know what I'm saying? Like Bare Knuckle 2, and Dino Brother. I really want the Street to Play motion. Like, the game is so good. Why it's not on here, I don't know. You got Gunstar Heroes, you got Shining Force, Space Harrier, and Sonic 2 and Reservoir. One game that I think is a long shot, but given what's going on in the streets right now, is I would love to see one of the X-Men games on here. Like, I don't know how you would make X-Men 1 work because of how you have to beat the video game, which I will not spoil for you, but you got to do something that the game don't let you know. So I don't know how. I'm like, it worked. It, like, the game is fully beatable in emulation, but how would that work in an instance like this? I don't know, but thinking about that, like, one of those would be dope. Let me see. Sega Genesis games that's not on here. Like, we get Thunder Force 3. I'm like, I would love to have Thunder Force 4 or Lightning Force, as it were, in America or things like that. Still salty about the Super Shinobi. So I'm like, cause I'm trying to think, like, what else do you really do? Like you could put Streets of Rage 1 or 3 on here. Like, because I'm trying to think of, like, heavy hitting Sega games that, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, Wrestle I'm like, if they wanted to get dumb, like, and I think I might have said this, like, when I first started about games that I was guessing from third parties, Rolling Thunder. Because Rolling Thunder, like, after the first one, they had exclusive Sega Genesis versions of sequels to Rolling Thunder. So either that or Splatterhouse, maybe if you're trying to keep it Namco. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to think, though, because I'm like, I think that maybe, at least for America, we might get the Revenge of Shinobi 2. And I think we might get the Revenge of Shinobi on top of having Shinobi 3, and the Japanese version may get Shinobi 3 2, well, actually the Super Shinobi 2 if you want to be technical about it. Let me see. Sega games. Virtua Fighter 2, the Sega Genesis version, may be a lock maybe for one of these, but I don't know if you really want to waste a spot on Virtua Fighter 2 for the Sega Genesis, because it's Virtua Fighter 2 for the Sega Genesis. It's interesting what they ended up ultimately doing, but it is what it is. Speaking of, just randomly, I'm just gonna throw this out there for wishes. Given what they doing currently with the Sega Ages on Switch, I would love to see Virtua Fighter 1, because that game don't get re-released at all. I don't know what you would do with Virtua Fighter 3 or anything like that, and the quicker that we get a for real version of Final Showdown on an actual current generation console, the better. And no, not playing it in Yakuza don't count. Don't look at me that way. But I'm trying to sit up here and legitimately think, like, what haven't we hit for? Like, between the two of these consoles, you done hit all your major stuff. Like, yo, we just got Alex Kidd. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you hitting for whatever that is, because the thing is, when I really think about that, in Japan, Alex Kidd is regulated more to being one-to-one with the Master System than he is that Sega Genesis game we're getting, because they need to fill in the slot for whatever your reason is. It's a couple of other games that I just can't think of like right at this moment that I would love to see. But I would really love to see like this final 10 really like shut it down on both ends. That's just what I want to see because this thing has mostly delivered. I'm like, this thing got Contra Hardcore on it for God's sakes. I'm like, Contra Hardcore and Castlevania Bloodline, son. Like this thing straight delivering the heat though, as it were. But yeah, I really think like this thing is doing work right now, and I really appreciate what it is, and I really want to see what these last 10 are. I'm salty about I'm salty about the Revenge of Shinobi, and we'll stay salty. I'm like, we don't get the precursor to Guardian Heroes, but you know it is what it is with that. But like I said, if you gonna play Yu Yu Hakusho on Sega, go look up the MIJT translation. It's a wonderful translation. Gets everything that it needs to, and it's wonderful, and it's better than playing that Portuguese version. So it is what it is with that. More on Uncle Trimple shooting shots. Let me scroll down a little bit. Let me scroll down a little bit. Let me show y'all what's really up. Gain the ultimate advantage on all of the 40 legendary classes with any retro bit cross Sega collaboration USB controller. Any other, either the Sega Saturn or the Sega Genesis joints will work in this thing. Free throw. Call that. Go bring you go watch the video. The receipts. I called that shit. Called it. Free throw. Just saying. Like, I'm gonna read this blurb. Retrobit is proud to partner with Sega in releasing their long-awaited controller lineup, featuring the same great quality as their original hardware counterparts, like the original console port, but with modern upgrades such as USB port for PC compatibility and Bluetooth wireless technology. Relive the control that changed the game and take it to the next level with these controllers. USB ports now compatible with the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive Mini. Thumbs up, soldier. So if you want to play a Sega Genesis game with a Sega Saturn, you can do that now. But technically, in some ways, you could do that. But you know, it is what it is with that. Now, these things now have a lot more worth than they did before this announcement, because I need me a new Sega Saturn controller, like for real. But I've been looking at these and been hearing that they really good, but I've always personally wanted me an OG cool pad. And just so you know what a cool pad is this joint right here. This the cool pad joint, like the see-through joint. But these the Model 2s, you know what I'm saying? Like, they say they supposed to be making the 3D. They supposed to be coming out like this year. Retrobit coming out with the 3D nice controllers or whatever. So if you needed a replacement for that, those are supposed to be coming. And those are the Sega Genesis USB joints. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that's wonderful. And it's like, and I'm wondering that if it is what it is, you already know 8-Bit Dough gonna come out with some joints. So if you trying to use PlayStation controllers on this motherfucker, something like that, you will be covered with whatever it is you want to use on these things. And I really appreciate that these companies are really coming out and really coming out hard. Cause like, yo, you got the Brawler 64 controller that I've been taking a look at. Retrobit's supposed to be coming out with a version of the Hori Mini Pad 64, which looks really good. I've heard good things about that. It's like, you just gotta love shit, dog. You can't hate. Look, and they coming out with one just for this joint. I think it's kind of weird that it don't come with one. And I've read what the streets had to say, and I agree. It don't make no sense, especially that now that the Sega Genesis Mini officially has Champion Edition on it, that it don't come with a 6 button. I thought that was kind of a bad call anyway, but you know, if you want one, you can get one. I wonder if now that these are coming or whatever, wondering that are they going to have versions that come with 6 buttons? I would probably highly doubt it, because they're probably pushing this as an aftermarket purchase. Because here's the honest, legitimate thing, for real, that you have to think about this from a business logical standpoint. 90% of people who are buying this thing don't really care that it come with a 3-button joystick. It's people like me, people like us, game enthusiasts who know that there are games that play better with a 6 button than a 3 button are the people who are legitimately making noise. But because you have all of these options, and more likely than not, some option you already own before, keyword this, before you buy one of these, you might have something at the crib that might plug right into that bitch and play. So I'm not sitting up here trying to make excuses for these choices at all, but it's like I'm just trying to think about it from the standpoint of we trying to cheap out or whatever, because that's what I honestly feel, that these should have came with 6 buttons on the flip in general, because the Sega Mega Drive Mini in Japan comes with them. So it's like, I don't really know where I quite stand with that, but knowing that I don't have to get this, that I would honestly, for real, if you looking for what you looking for, that you should get the USB one with the extra buttons on it. I don't know. I don't think this gonna work because they got some Bluetooth joints coming out. I don't think that's gonna work with this thing. But if you take a look, these have an extra button on them. So it makes me wonder because that's the extra mode button or whatever for it. So I wonder that if these things work, does that extra button do something? Questions. You know what I'm saying? It might be able to bring up an extra menu and things like that. So that should be definitely something that you should stay tuned to as this thing ramps up and as we get to closer to the release, because this is a wonderful end to this saga of me trying to figure out whether or not I want this thing. Because I've been going back and forth, and one of the things that I went back and forth on is I was honestly thinking about buying a Japanese version of this thing and just waiting for it to suss out till it get hacked or whatever to figure out what people are going to do. But given that thing got Yu Yu Hakusho on it and the Revenge of Shinobi, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to get one. I'm going to have to get one. Gotta have one. Need it, want it, got to have it. So I'm probably going to have 2 of these things. So that'll be a fun episode of Popping Boxes where I do 2 different videos on technically the same thing. But it is what it is. But I told you what I was going to do. 3 throw. I told you. So now the discussion is over. You have this, and it's a wonderful thing. So before we get up out of here, man, let's just review the work. Let's just review the story of Thor, aka Beyond Oasis, the Super Shinobi, aka the Revenge of Shinobi, Golden Axe, Street Fighter 2 Plus Champion Edition, Damakai Mura, aka Ghouls and Ghosts. We got Puzzle Nation Tanta Ah. We got Quiz World Mega Cube Fantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium, Yu Yu Hakusho Maso Tosusen. We got what else? And we got Rockman Mega World, aka Mega Man and Wily Wars. And in this instance, in replacement for what? Yu Yu Hakusho. What? Yu Yu Hakusho. Go back, because I'm having a brain fart. So we don't get Yu Yu Hakusho, we don't get Quiz Mega World, we don't get Puzzle Tant R, and we don't get Puzzle Tant R. So that's what we are losing out on. But in exchange, we get Alice Kid, we get Sonic Spinball, we get Vector Man, and we get Wonder Boy and Monster World. Hold up, wait a minute. If we don't get 4 games, let me see, Yu Yu Hakusho, Quiz Mega World, Puzzle Tantar, and a Super Shinobi. I'm like, huh? Like, that math don't seem right. Yeah, so I guess your substitution is we get this in exchange for that. We get, yeah, so it's these 4. It's these 4 right here. So, and the same thing for the Sega Mega Drive Mini. So let me just scroll that up real quick. I'm not 100% in agreement with everything here, but you get to play Beyond Oasis, man, one of the best RPGs in the business. I'm like, and you get to play one of the best RPGs in the business. Because Beyond Oasis as an action RPG, it does the work. Phantasy Star 4, like I told you from the beginning of this video, play Phantasy Stars 1 through 3. And then if you really want to get greasy, you can play Text Adventures. There are a whole bunch of ways to interact with Phantasy Star. But this right here Is what it is. The explosive finale. And it has been a finale and should stay that way forevermore. I really honestly think that, you know what I'm saying? I really honestly think that because of the way that these games are coming out, I really do hope that the rest of the Phantasy Star series does come out as part of the Sega Ages collection, because Phantasy Star is a thing that needs to be experienced by everybody. That's just me. That's just me on my 1-2, just saying what it is, what it is. So, let me fade it back to me, because I done had y'all on lockdown for a minute. Let me minimize this here, and let me bring myself over here, just like that. Alright, internet, how y'all feeling out there? Like, I mean, let me make sure I'm pressing the right button, because I don't want to stop the video, because that'll happen. Hoo-wee! Man, we've been at this for a minute, but yo, like, 21 through 30 hit with Capcom on the work. Champion Edition, Ghouls and Ghosts, and Mega Man and Wily Wars. Word. Still salty. We'll stay salty about Yu Yu Hakusho. Forever and ever and ever and ever, I will stay salty. The Revenge of Shinobi, I really hope we get that as our last 10. I'm like, given that, you know, we get in exchange Alex Kidd for reasons. I guess that's replacing the Super Shinobi. We get Sonic Spinball. I'm like I said earlier, I don't know how many people sitting up here clocking for Sonic Spinball, Vector Man, or Wonder Boy and Monster World. I don't know how many people really clocking for that, like legitimately for real. I don't know, but they gotta fill in those blanks somewhere, because there's just some things they cannot do. It's like it will probably be 2 arms and a leg, and it's like, given where Yu Yu Hakusho probably sits, it's like, and given. I'm like, because I'm just going to say this because now that I remember it. I don't know if y'all remember when it came to Senran Kagura about getting the Ikki 1000 characters and all the rigmarole and bullshit that Marvelous had to go through in America to get that together because Funimation was clowning. They probably looked at Yu Yu Hakusho was like, nah, we can release that over here, bruh. And like, man, if you want it, though, hack the damn machine. That's probably got a feeling how that quickly went. So, it makes me wonder, like I said, Alien Soldier's a lock. That's a free throw. Alien Soldier's a lock. Whatever those other 9 games are, divided by the region, Alien Soldier is one of those games. And however they fill out the rest of this, is how they fill out the rest of this. But, yo, that's my free throw for this video. That Alien Soldier, that is a lock. That is a lock. You know, I'm not even gonna. All I'm saying is take me on the bet. If you don't believe, take me on the bet. Don't swear. Take me on the bet that Alien Soldier not coming. It's coming to the Sega Mega Drive Mini in Japan. I don't know if we're gonna get that over here. I don't know if we're gonna get that over here, fam. But over there, that's work. What's the fate of Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles? Like. I'm surprised. I'm surprised we ain't dug in the bottom of the barrel. And they talking like, yo, Green Dog on here. Like, I don't know. I'm like, it's some other games that I got in my head that I just can't quite think of the name of. That'll be interesting. And more likely that may one of those games I think that may land on the Sega Genesis and Sega Genesis Mini in America. I think it's the Cap Attack. I think that might be a game that where Sega gets some third-party game they can't release in America and either fill it in that or Shakan or something like that just to fill in the blanks. Eternal Champions, I think, may be possible as a game that comes out for the American and European just to fill in some Japanese blank. That's just kind of what I'm thinking. But I think Challenge from the Dark Side is a lot better representation of that game. And it's like not a lot you can really do with Sega CD stuff, but it is what it is. What the fate of Streets of Rage 1 and 3 is, like, you got a whole bunch of things like that you could really get into, but it'll be interesting to see that when we count this down again sometime in the next couple of weeks to see what these final 10s are for both regions. But regardless of that, look, we have got plenty. Plenty of more show for you and you and you. Y'all go tell them, and they that the one and only Triple the G.O.D. is holding it down live right here on Team GRF TV. Of course, flanked by Squish Murder and the Squadron, the Congregation. Amen. Bessie and Janine on the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s. The roll Throw them dubs up. We stay winning. We never losing out here. We turn them into wins, baby. Sit back, relax, and stay tuned. Team GRF, we have got plenty of more show for you. Believe me, children, plenty of more show for you. And you want to know when that more show is coming? It's coming right after these commercial messages. I had a thought before we got out of here because I'm really trying to sit up here and really figure out like what could really be hitting on this of games that I haven't quite thought of. Like, because like I'm not really trying to, like, I don't think sports games like licensed sports games are gonna hit anything like that, or you know. I still think a version of Mortal Kombat is a possibility for at least the American and possibly European versions. I'm like, I still think Quackshot's a semi-free throw for at least the Japanese version, because those Disney games are really popular in Japan. So I'm like, I think that may be a possibility. I'm still sticking by my Alien Soldier free throw. I'm still sticking by that. That's a game that's gonna be in the last 10, because again, like I said, my logic is based off Gunstar Heroes and Yu Yu Hakusho both being a part of this thing. Yeah. So it's gonna be a lot of wait and see, but I can't wait to see. Regardless of all of that, y'all, more show, bang for all of y'all right after these commercial messages.